All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Minnesota Vikings in tonight's video. A huge bounce back victory, 21-13 against the Indianapolis Colts this past Sunday night. And we're in such a weird era of sports in general. The Minnesota Vikings obviously got off to a 5-0 start, right? They lost to the Detroit Lions, one of the top two teams in the entire NFL. And then they lost 4 days later on a short week on the road against the Los Angeles Rams, or flying to the West Coast on a short week, Sunday to Thursday, and they lose. And so obviously, because they just lost two straight games, even though they were sitting here at 5-2, everybody forgot about them. No one was talking about them. And even after that very impressive defensive performance this past weekend, and even from Sam Darnold specifically in the second half, the Minnesota Vikings are 6-2, but because of losing two games in 4 days, no one's talking about this team anymore. I think the allure to, possibly going 17-0, maybe that wore off once they lost. I just don't really get this disrespect. It is currently Thursday, and I have yet to really see a power rankings article have the 6-2 Minnesota Vikings on that list, which is just genuinely crazy to me. The Vikings projected preseason win total was 6.5, and halfway through the season, the Minnesota Vikings have 6 wins. And don't look at their second half schedule because it's really good. I mean, the Minnesota Vikings could come out here and win 11 football games, maybe even 12. Trevor Lawrence reportedly isn't even playing this upcoming Sunday. The 2-7 Jags, Minnesota in a couple of days could be 7-2, and I guarantee you the hype train will be back on. But let me throw this in. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. As always, Vikings fans, love and appreciate you guys. As you know, try and get this video to 250 likes. That would mean the absolute world to me. I'm going to throw this link down my daily Vikings channel, although it's not quite daily yet, trying to build up an audience. So go subscribe to my Vikings YouTube channel. I'll pin that in the comments. Anyways, let's get into it. So Sam Darnold on Sunday against the Indianapolis Colts, who, by the way, have a really good front seven. 28-34, 290 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, some fumbles. Darnold, you really got the full Sam Darnold experience. But when you zoom out, first off, that was a really good second half. When you zoom out, Sam Darnold ranks in the top 15 in completion percentage, passing yards, touchdowns, quarterback rating, passer rating, you name it. And most of those stats are closer to top 10, or they're in the top 10 and not top 15. Darnold's having a really good year. 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. We're seeing a lot of resiliency, even when he makes a mistake, makes an error, throws an interception, fumbles the football, bounces back on the next drive. Darnold currently ranks second to Lamar Jackson and just ahead of Jared Goff in explosive pass rate, with 22.3% of his passes gaining more than 15 yards. He also is averaging 8.6 intended air yards per throw, which is 5th in the NFL. Like Kirk Cousins last year, 7.5. Darnold, 8.6. So we're seeing this kind of big play potential. Obviously, when you have Jordan Addison, you got Aaron Jones, TJ Hawkinson back, and obviously Justin Jefferson. Your offense is going to have big time plays because you got some big time players, and that's why you pay him the big bucks. But the point is, Sam Darnold, KOC, even having Darnold as the starting quarterback, the bridge quarterback, right? Post Kirk Cousins era, drafting JJ at pick number 10. What's crazy is he's letting them loose. Darnold, the whole thing with Sam Darnold in his entire NFL career, whether it was the Jets, whether it was Carolina, whether it was college back at USC, the big thing was limiting Sam from himself and just, making sure he doesn't get too errant, get too sloppy, start, making turnovers. KOC's let him off. He's let him do his thing. You want to protect him from himself, but at the same time, you want to let him do his thing. So can he keep it up? Can this Vikings team keep it up? Well, folks, of the 8 teams the Vikings play from here on out, only the Titans defense ranks in the top 10. 2 of these opponents, my Green Bay Packers and the Arizona Cardinals, are the worst ranked defenses in the NFL in success rate at stopping the passing game. And you look at, Jordan Addison having kind of a breakout game, which sounds crazy for a dude who almost had 1,000 receiving yards as a rookie. Jordan Addison, 5 catches, 42 yards, and the craziest touchdown catch you'll see from the Vikings, or one of them that you'll see from the Vikings this season. Justin Jefferson leading the league in receiving with 783 yards. His 16.3 yards per reception are the most amongst any player with more than 35 catches this season. So the offense is playing like a playoff team, and the defense is obviously playing like a playoff team. Jonathan Grenard, really good example. He has more pressures than any other edge rusher in the NFL. His 7 sacks are tied for 6th in the league. The Vikings are currently 16th in defensive yards per game. They're the second best rushing defense in the NFL, technically the 28th worst passing defense in the NFL. But when you use your eyes, I don't really see it. For example, Joe Flacco. Yeah, I know he's old. I know it's old man Joe. Joe Flacco, just 16 of 27, 179 yards, 0 touchdowns, and that interception. And, one thing to keep in mind, Minnesota's 6-2. A lot of these teams are, take it from a Packers fan, you saw it against me, up 28-0. A lot of these games, you have a 2-score lead, and the other team's got to claw themselves back. So they're going to be throwing it more than they're running it. The game script, typically is not in the Vikings' pass defense favor. Like, for example, Jonathan Taylor, 13 carries, 48 yards, averaged 3.7 yards per carry. This defense is legit, and I know that stat doesn't seem crazy, but the defense ranks top 10 in almost every meaningful early down metric. Aaron Rodgers just had a whole rant about that on the Pat McAfee show earlier this past week. Really good example. Indianapolis in that game Sunday night, they had an average of minus 0.35 EPA per play. That metric measures the value of each play in football by estimating how much it increases the offense's chance of scoring. So on passing plays, the Indianapolis Colts were held to minus 0.21 EPA per snap, which according to PFF is the second lowest mark from any team this entire NFL season. So you're kind of catching my grift here. The Vikings have a top 10 defense. The Vikings also have a top 10 offense. The Vikings have one of the coaches of the year candidates in Kevin O'Connell and a defensive coach candidate in Brian Flores. Here's your second half schedule. At Jacksonville, at Tennessee, at Chicago, at home against Arizona, Atlanta, Chicago. And then you hit the road for Seattle, come back home week 17, take on my Green Bay Packers, and then week 18 against the Detroit Lions on the road, which, I mean, folks, it could be 2 12-win teams. That could be for the NFC North divisional title. So every win counts. And even though Minnesota lost 2 games in 4 days and everyone stopped talking about them, you shouldn't. This team's very legit. That's it for me. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button, hit that sub button down below. As always, check out that Vikings channel. I'll pin it in the comments section. We're trying to get up to at least 500 subs before we start posting daily content. So give that a look. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see you before Sunday. That's it from me. Peace.